Today is July 16. The time is 7:03 p.m. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with the Governor of Massachusetts March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. On March 29, 2023, Governor Healy signed a supplemental 2023 budget allowing remote and hybrid meeting options for public bodies through March 31, 2025. This meeting is being recorded. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm happy to report we do have a quorum present. There are 3 members present: Gary Carrero, Carrie Cunha, and myself, Cindy Brown, the chair. So why don't we get right to it. Tell you what, flip of the coin. John, I'm going to deal with your position first. I think this will go fairly quickly. Why don't you give us a little bit of explanation, John, about the position and why you don't have to justify the position to us. Explain the position and how it works in with the other group.
Okay, sure. So as you might know, you might not know, I run the 3 local PEG channels in town, 3 cable access channels in town. And my board for the last year or so has been asking me to improve the public part of it. That's channel 192. And in order to do that with my schedule, I requested, and the FinCom and town meeting approved some extra money to create a part-time position under 19 hours. And this person will help make videos, create content for the channel. In the meantime, they can also be a backup to Valerie at meetings. Sometimes she does 18 to 22 meetings a month. So this person would be a fill-in at that position also. But the majority of the job is helping me create content for the channel. We have a new server running the channel, so I'm really psyched about getting a lot of Westport-oriented programming out there. And the more bodies, the better to do this.
Okay, good. So I saw on your request that you had a requested rate of 26. Could I ask, I meant to look this up and I did not. What's Valerie's current rate? Do you know?
I don't know her rate. I know the yearly figure, ballpark.
Okay, so you don't know what her hourly rate is?
I don't. I just see her salary in the line item.
So is hers? So she does not get paid by the hour. So her salary, when you say that she does anywhere from 18 to 22 meetings a month, is she part-time, full-time?
She's considered full-time with, I believe, a max of 35.
Okay, so 35 hours. So I can do the simple simple math. So let me just see if I can come up. If it's a 35-hour, what is her annual salary? This is all public information, obviously.
Okay, she's in between 40 and 42.
Okay, so I'm just going to call it 41.
Now, Cindy.
Yes.
John. How many employees does the cable? Well, I call it the cable department. Have right? Just Cindy? I mean, it's just Valerie. It's
just Valerie and I, and then we have some of those contract laborers, which are high school students, and there's one other man in his 20s, and they work during school season. I'll see the kids more. In the summer, I haven't seen the kids do anything. They go and get regular full-time jobs in the summer. And same thing with Tyler. He's the 20-year-old. He's in his 20s. Same thing with him. He has a full-time job, and I'll see him. He works less than 10 times a year, probably, I would say.
Yeah, so you're covering a lot of meetings. I mean, both between Valerie and yourself, you're covering.
In addition to Valerie's 18 to 22, whatever that comes out to, there's a few school committee meetings every month. There's all the events at school. I do get help with the kids on a lot of the events, but we do all the basketball games, boys and girls. So this position, if passed, would be a big help.
So do you plan on putting on more programs, or do you plan on, like, is there a request, or is there a demand for more coverage that you can't get to now, or?
Yeah, well, a little bit of both. Like I said, the Cable Advisory Board has been asking me to do more. We've already done, if you've seen the Hey Westport show, that's like the Westport Magazine show we're doing. We've also been in talks with the police department, and they're going to be giving us some content. We have right now the summer concert series going on and different news stories throughout town.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, there's going to be more programming, and that's going back to my roots. I really like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So
Okay.
now, based on my very simple math here, it looks like perhaps Valerie's rate is, we'll call it 2252. So how would you compare this position, if at all, to the one that Valerie currently does?
This would be out creating more than she does. It's a videographer in the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she still gets
No.
twice as many hours, just about, as this position too. So
Okay.
Cindy-
In addition
Cindy-
in addition to benefits.
correct. Yeah.
Now, Cindy, do you know, I don't know if you know this, but, or somebody knows, is this will the compensation and study be pulling this in for review, this position, do you know that?
I don't know if this one was covered because it was there wasn't enough consistent information that they could gather through different communities, because communities handle this so much differently, community to community. I would have to go back and look at that and see whether or not that was included in the comp study. And my apologies to Tanya, because I meant to send that to you and I forgot to. So I'm sorry that I didn't.
Yeah.
But this position is paid out of the revenue that the town receives from the cable. So this is not a tax-based position. It's paid by the residents of the town because it is coming out of that fee, but it's not a tax-based position.
Yeah, I mean, I support this. I think that the cable access programming in the town is pretty robust. I'm glad to hear that they're trying to make it even better, and add maybe more coverage. I know that it helped tremendously during COVID. Obviously we can't forget what happened during COVID, because many of, there were no in-person meetings. It was all done virtually. So they played a big role in that. And so, now with all these meetings still being able to be virtual, I could see how the workload has gotten even more, in a sense where, it's not like it was back in the day. We were there in person, even though we had good coverage. I think that it's a vital asset to the town, public access.
Right. So, really, our role in this, by and large, is determining the fair rate of compensation. This is a non-union position. Is Valerie's position a non-union position as well? Is she part of any union?
She's
John, do you know?
She a contract?
No, she's not. She's a town employee. I do not know the answer to that. I would say no.
I don't think she's part of any of the. There are like 4 different unions in town hall, but
yeah,
I don't believe that she is part of. I don't believe that she is part of any of them. So, so it's the issue really of the salary. I know that you've requested a salary of 26. I'm going to suggest that this position be filled at a level at 24. Can you fill this position at 24?
That's what I will tell the people who have applied that it's worth. That it's what it has to be.
Do we have any comparables from other communities, or?
Because this is such a unique hours, like the 19 hours, I don't. I can ask around.
I did a quick search and it came up 15 to 30, depending on what it does.
Right.
But I know this position she's going to be on air, or he,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
significantly increased the wage. So if that helps.
Right. Right. The
Yeah.
job description did specifically indicate that it would be an on-air position.
Some of it.
Yes. Right. Right.
It's
Not
not, yeah.
solely. Right. Not solely.
Yeah. So I guess, Cindy, do we have a couple of candidates? Is that what we're hearing?
Do you?
I have 2 candidates, yes.
Okay. Do you think that they would, that you could secure one of those candidates at 24?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I would,
I would recommend that we give a range. I would say anywhere between 24, 25, and if it means $1 more, I mean, they're not benefit eligible. They're only 19 hours a week, a 19-hour position. So
Right.
I don't see the extra $1 being an issue.
Okay.
I would say that we may leave it open to let the committee decide when they go to hire, or if John's doing the hiring, that we leave it open either 24 or 25. Maybe the $1 is going to not make a difference. Maybe it make a big difference to the candidate. If we don't want to lose somebody,
Right.
if we have something in the queue for $1,
Right,
All right. So,
I was gonna say, yeah, $80
Right.
bucks a month,
right.
20, 40, 60, 80.
And
Right.
it's not general fund revenue, so.
Right. And the money's
Gary-
been approved, so it is there.
Gary, if you're willing to make a motion on that?
Yeah, I would make the motion that we have it as a range, either $24 to $25 an hour, anywhere, it could be $24.50, anyway, between that range. And we let the hiring process, vet itself. We have a candidate, and we see how it goes from there. So my recommendation is $24 to $25 an hour, not to exceed 19 hours. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that would be my motion, Cindy.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any other additional discussion regarding that position? Hearing none.
I do have a question.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
What if they want the 26? Are we really gonna?
Well, he can come back, to us. You have to understand, this creates issues for departments all over the town.
Right.
So, 25 has kind of been our cap on a lot of, particularly below part-time, below full-time positions. It really has been our cap. We've got another board waiting to speak with us after this. That's kind of the current range. It creates a lot more problems. If that becomes a trend, it opens up the door for we can have these meetings once a week if you want.
Right.
Now, Cindy, is there a step in? Is there a step process? Like, do they start off at a step 1, then go to a step 2 and a step 3? How does that work?
We haven't adopted a policy like that, particularly for part-time. So we don't have ranges like that. They would be subject to the annual cost of living increases each year. They would benefit from those each year as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it might be an issue.
Certainly, if a department head feels that if one of these people that's hired is doing an exceptional job and they want to come in and perhaps upgrade the job description and upgrade the position, we can certainly hear that at a future date. But why don't we start at this range of 24 to 25?
Yeah, and if the compensation study says something different, maybe, obviously we may have to make adjustments. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the motion and the second. Carrie, any other questions?
No, I'm good.
You sure?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so given this is a video call, remote call, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Gary.
Yes.
Carrie Cunha.
Yes.
Cindy Brown, aye. So unanimous. So, John, I'm sorry you've had to wait so long to get this taken care of, but that's the issue with small town government, right?
No, no apologies at all. No apologies needed. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
John.
see yous
You're
all.
welcome to
Good night.
stay if you'd like, but I can't imagine why you would.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, thank you. All right, good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. My apologies certainly do go to Tanya and the Board of Health. And Matt, you have been waiting a few months for this position. We waited for the compensation study to come out, and in fact, and I'm going to make myself a note right here, right now, Tanya, to send you the study. It did show that. And I'll try to pull it out here. It's hard while I'm on this call for me to pull it out. The compensation study did show that we were a little shy on the compensation for the animal control officer. It was a little bit difficult to determine because it was hard to know whether some of these other communities, they had them as annual salaries, and it was hard to know whether they were at $35 or $40 an hour. So
You mean 35 to 40 hours a week?
I'm sorry, 35 to 40 hours a week. I'm sorry. So it's hard to tell which method that they were doing, but certainly we were coming in a little bit light on what the compensation is. What is the current compensation of the full-time animal control officer?
$23.04.
Okay. All right. So
What is the compensation study?
So the compensation study, and I'm trying to pull this up. Let me see.
I have it up.
You have it up? All right. So do you have where the animal control officer is?
If the salary, yes, 51.5 to 68.13.
Yeah. So that's, it was such a broad range. So if we use,
Wait a minute, Cindy, are we talking, so Matt just said 23 is the current $23 and change, right, Matt?
yes.
Yeah, $23.04.
And then the compensation study is saying what?
It's an annualized salary.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try to break it down per hour. So Carrie, you said that it was 50 what?
51,500.
51.5.
68,013.
All right.
68.13.
I'm going to use 40.
How many hours do they work, Matt? 40?
Yeah, Nick works 40 hours.
Okay, so I'm going to go
okay.
40. 51,500 divided by 52 equals that, and divided by 40. Yeah, so the low range is 24.75. And Carrie, you said the high range was what?
68,013.
Okay, 68. I'll just use.
Yeah, at the current rate at $23 an hour, it's 47,840.
Yeah.
So we're kind of low.
So at minimum, I feel that 24.75 is the lowest range on any of these. So I feel that I'm now going to bring my screen back. Sorry. I feel that we need to bring the current animal control officer up a little bit. Now, does your budget have room for that, to bring your current ACO up to 25?
Yes. So can I give you my suggestions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we were thinking was that we wanted to bring a part-time. The reason why we're here is we wanted to have you guys authorize a part-time animal control officer at 20 hours a week at $25 an hour. The job description would be exactly the same as the full-time animal control officer, same duties. What we want to do for the full-time animal control officer is bring his rate to $25.25. It would be fair to bring him above somebody just starting off.
Right.
That's pretty much all that we can afford in our budget for FY25.
Okay. So I had a few questions about the differences between the two. So I was trying to envision, the typical day for the full-time person that works Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, versus we'll call the weekend person. And would you say though that the full-time person has additional duties when it comes to paperwork, citations? I mean, do they end up filling out more additional paperwork or having to follow up on more things than the weekend person would?
So let me say that Nick is 40 hours a week, but because he's been by himself for so long, he works a lot of extra hours, gets paid out of the overtime line when he goes over 40 hours.
Right.
He was working Monday through Friday, on call every Monday through Friday, and on call every other weekend. Recently, he asked me to scale it back on the Monday through Friday on calls. So now he's only on call Monday, Thursday, Friday, and every other weekend. He's not on call on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. In terms of the paperwork and the workload, well, I think it would be, I guess they would both have, both part-time and full-time would have reports, citations, follow-ups, on-call duties. It's just that the 20-hour-a-week person will have less of it because the 40-hour-a-week is here 40 hours a week.
Right. So you can envision where if, we'll just say the weekend guy, I'll call him Joe. Joe fills out, issues some citations over the weekend and does the paperwork for it, and somebody doesn't, do whatever it is that the corrective action needed to be taken. Is it up to the regular person to follow up with that, or would Joe have to follow up with that as well? I mean, does he have to own that?
He doesn't have to own it. So the part of the way that I got the schedule laid out for the second person is they're going to be about an hour worth of overlap when one reports for duty and the other one's just going off duty. That way, if anything needs to be handed off to the person coming on duty, it can continue on and follow through with whatever the issue is. So we set it up so nothing gets left until the other guy comes back on shift if it can't wait that long.
Now, Matt, you must be seeing an increase of volume, because from what I'm hearing in other departments from other cities and towns, there's an increase in the deer population tremendously, having to be now being processed. So I can imagine that the workload has gotten to be more in the last 2 years, 1 to 2 years, just on that aspect, let alone everything else.
Absolutely. We've had dead deers just about every day this week, and the highway department has to get involved with that because they get a stipend for picking up the deers off the town roads. And there's a lot of that going on right now. We have a lot of increased rabies, positive rabies tests around town from different, whether it be fox or raccoon. So it's picked up quite a bit.
Yeah. And along with that is all this, you got to dispose of it properly. It's not just,
Yeah, we actually, if it's like a suspected rabies animal, we have to, it gets euthanized and taken over to the Humane Society out in Dartmouth and gets prepped and sent off for testing. And that costs us, some money, but we do belong to the rabies task force out of the Cape. And if they're able to, we have a freezer over at the town hall garage. We'll put the animal in there, and if they can make it up, they'll get it and do it for free.
Where do you dispose of dead deer?
The highway department will either bury them, I believe, or they'll bring them down to the transfer station.
Good to know.
So the recommendation is the 25.05, you said an hour? Or 25?
25.
Yeah.
So do you feel that that's a sufficient enough gap between the two?
I definitely do not think it's sufficient, but I'm just kind of got my budget in my head here. And if we go over that, which I think we I would like to, but we would fall short in our FY25 budget.
So can you bring the weekend person on, say at 24, which would allow you some room on the 25? I mean, just to manage your budget. Do you think that the full-time guy feels that there's enough of seniority gap between he and the weekend person? Or should there be one?
I think Tanya wants to answer this one.
Matt has done a lot of research around, the going rate, and as
Yeah.
you identified, even using the 51,000 at 40 hours a week, which probably it's not. It's probably that range is so wide because the low end is working 35 hours and the high end is working the 40 hours. So
Right.
we're already at a disadvantage with $25 an hour to try to recruit the second candidate we've tried before, at our prior rate. It's a lot of work to try and recruit and get somebody. So we were originally knocking around trying to, pay 26 or 27, which is really more the market rate, because Matt has done like Carrie did for the other position, sort of an informal survey around, even
Right.
at 25, it's going to be low. So the benefit to Nick is that we are able to reduce some of the pressure on him. He is going to get a $2+ an hour raise,
Yeah.
which I think he'll be happy with. It's not
Good.
ideal, but we don't have ideal budgets in this town. So
Right.
we're trying to balance, on the balance beam between the restrictions of our budget, and we're very appreciative that the Finance Committee supported increased funding for animal control. On the one hand, but on the other hand, we've got to try to make the best possible mix of rates and hours to try to attract someone. So that's the best idea we came up with. We certainly felt like we would have liked to go higher, but then we wouldn't have had enough money to raise Nick up enough. And I said, we cannot, in any case, hire a part-time person at a higher hourly rate than Nick. So we had to scale back our plan to at least accomplish that. So, I understand that we ideally should have a bigger spread, but because this is a significant pay increase for him, he's got some relief on being on call, because animal control problems happen 24/7, and police have had to back up because you can't do that on one person. So this will be a better situation all the way around, and I think he'll be okay. Not ideal, but okay.
Does he get a higher rate for going out after hours?
He does not. The only rate increase he gets if he works over 40, he gets time and a half.
Oh, okay. There's no stipend or anything for him going out like after 7 or after.
No, there is not.
Yeah. It's interesting because do we have any candidates for the part-time for 25? Or we don't? There's nobody in the queue.
Well, we haven't even put it out there. This is the first step, is to get it by the personnel board, and then it has to go by the select board. And so until we get those two levels of approval, we can't even post it.
Oh, I thought you had a candidate. This is what you're talking about, the full-time position.
Yeah. They already have someone working the full-time position.
Yeah.
I was talking about, we tried to hire a part-time person a couple of years ago. Didn't work out. We've tried several attempts to hire before our budget got reduced, but unsuccessfully because the rates were just too low.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because this is not like an ideal position, say, for some retired guy, because there's a lot of physical labor involved. I mean, this isn't one of those positions that you go, oh, well, it's a part-time job. Maybe there'd be someone who's retired or whatnot that may enjoy picking up some extra hours. This is a very physically demanding job, and with the hours and whatnot, it's not easy to have the ideal candidate that's willing to work weekends for $25 an hour.
It's very difficult to fill a part-time position.
Right. It's like, great, congratulations, we gave you a bunch of money. Now try to find somebody at the salary that you could afford to pay. So, I get it. Would Nick still have the opportunity to still get some overtime in from time to time? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
So,
Cindy, I don't have the
I'm not
budget.
sure if he.
I don't have the budget in front of us, like the health department budget. But so, Matt, there's no room to go any higher than that at all.
I think if we did, we wouldn't have any money for overtime, and we need to have a reserve.
Oh.
We need to have a little
So
wiggle
it's
room,
bottom.
right?
Is it bottom line
Because-
budget, or do they charge per the line item for salary? That's not bottom line. It's not like, let's say there's $2,000 left somewhere else in the health department budget. They can't charge that to salaries, can they? Oh, okay.
No, not until the end of the year. They could move it around at the end of the year. Because refresh my memory. What did the finance committee? What did we give you? 15,000, 25,000?
I think it was 28,000.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I certainly don't have any, problem with that. Both Gary and I are on the finance committee, so we certainly supported the, the addition of that position because, I mean, to be fair, we do have a lot of wildlife, as he said, around town, and we really do need that second position, and it's difficult to find someone for that rate. For any job, let alone one that's as demanding as this. So, I'll entertain.
You know what's interesting? Cindy, is that we've had two departments in front of us tonight that have done their own research and have seen, and now we're comparing that to a good solid comp study, and we're seeing just on two departments how low the town is in paying the employees just in those two departments. So this is gonna be interesting once this becomes public, and once it becomes, well, it's probably already public, but once the departments start to reconcile that amongst what they're actually paying the employees, you're going to see a
I kind of
variance,
lost you.
in my opinion.
Oh,
You know?
without a doubt. I mean,
And
the
this
documents.
is going to be an eye opener for a lot of people. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will. I will send the study along to you, Tanya, so you can take a look for some of the other spots as well. But I think that this is just the beginning. The personnel board only handles those things that are non-union, but you can bet the town administrator is going to have his hands full over the next year with the various unions. And it's a problem with the various unions that you have. I mean, you just take, and this is totally off subject here, but you take the issue in the cemetery department right now with the unfortunate passing of Steve Souza so unexpectedly. It's very difficult, for the highway department even to help out as much as they could, or to even take over the cemetery department, or the department, or the Board of Health to be more involved with either that part of the transfer station employees, to have transfer station, cemetery, and highway department be able to work together. But that's three different unions, and it creates a big problem for, cross-stepping over to each other's territory. So it's a problem that this personnel board does not have to deal with. So thankfully, so I'll entertain a Tanya.
I'll make a motion.
Well, Tanya, you have your hand up.
I was just going to say, you have affirmed, though, for us that I know when you presented about the wage study, that, most of the town employees were certainly at the low end, but there were a couple of that stood out as below low. And this is one of them. So,
Right.
So I appreciate
Absolutely.
your support for bringing us into the low end of the range, at least, and hope we can get that support from the select board as well. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, we have to start somewhere, right?
I'll make a motion so now we're making a motion here, part-time position. Correct, Matt, to be at 25. 25 an
20
hour?
hours a week at $25 an hour.
Now, is the 20 hours a week?
Non-benefit.
I'm just going to ask a question here. Is the 20 hour, does it have to stay below 20? Does it have to stay at 19, or can it be
Yes.
20 or lower?
I believe it's 20 or lower to
Benefit.
so it's benefit, so it's not
Okay,
benefited.
all right. So
Right,
just,
right.
just make sure you check with the town administrator on whether or not it can go to exactly 220. If it has to stay under 20.
I'll double check with him on that. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure about that, but I'll double check.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought it was I always thought it was 19, but I'll make the motion either way, 25.
Actually, you know
25.
what? I think you
I'll
might
second.
be right. I think it's 20 hours a week is benefited, and
Yeah.
some departments hire at 19 3/4 to stay underneath that.
Yeah.
right, right. So as long as you stay under the radar screen with the benefits. So we have a motion at.
I'll second.
This is for the part-time person at $25 an hour. You're gonna have to work your magic with the town administrator to get the other position increased because we don't oversee your full-time guy. So the animal control officer,
How come?
isn't he part of a union?
It's not.
No,
Oh, he's
Yeah,
not.
we have
Okay. So the motion then needs to be twofold. That it's
Yeah.
25 for the full-time animal control officer and $25 for an hour for the part-time officer.
Well, I'll make
Gary,
the
you
first
fine with
motion,
that?
and then Carrie, I think, already seconded it.
yes,
Okay. And that was on the 25, Gary, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor with a second to have the salary be set at $25 for the full-time animal control officer. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Carrie?
yes,
Cindy, aye. So we have a unanimous vote on that. Now moving to the part-time person at $25 per hour. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion and the second to have the compensation rate for the part-time animal control officer with a hourly not to exceed 19 3/4 hours per week. At $25 per hour even. Any other discussion? Matt, you raised your hand?
Yes. So I have a question. If we
Yeah.
run into difficulties hiring somebody without benefits, because benefits is to get sick time, to get vacation time, to get personal days is a big attraction for somebody to take a job in a lot of cases. If we run into a
Right.
situation where we're just not getting attracting anybody, would we come back to this board to ask to increase the hours
For the part-time?
Well, I guess,
from 19 3/4 to 20?
Now, let me ask something, Cindy. Do you know if, does anybody know if they don't even accrue vacation time? They don't even,
not part-timers,
really?
no.
No benefits at
Not
all.
if you're under 20, you get zero benefit.
I thought that, and maybe it's different in other communities, but I thought that it wasn't pension eligible, but they still accrued at least sick time
No,
and at least vacation.
no,
No? That's interesting.
So now, I guess my question back at you, Matt, since you're very familiar in developing the budget, how do you have to account for vacation sick time in your budget? If you have someone that just has an annual salary, you don't have to bake in additional funding for sick time or vacation, correct?
That's correct. It's already built in.
Okay. So I guess that's subject to your budget. If you go over budget at the end of the year, I mean, we can withdraw the motion limiting the number of hours and just set the rate.
Or do a line item transfer. The worst case
Yeah,
scenario would be a line item transfer.
We're
Yeah,
good
really.
at 20. We're good at 20 hours. We have enough in the budget to support $25 an hour at 20 hours a week.
right, and that which would give benefits,
Correct.
right. I guess I would,
Oh, you do
I
have
guess
enough
I-
in the budget for that. Okay.
run it by the town administrator if it's gonna, I don't know if that then does become pension eligible, whether or not that triggers something additional for the town. He would just have, it's a very small amount of money. I get that.
It would fall out in the assessment, but how much could that be? Not gonna be a lot of money.
It can't be a lot of money, right? For given the number of hours, these are very difficult times to hire people. This is not a glamorous job. This is not a position that people can capitalize on and build, be a resume builder for. I mean, this is just a very difficult job for someone to do. We're very thankful that there are people out there that are willing to do that, because nine out of 10 people would not want to have any part of it. So,
So why don't we start?
okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Gary, you kind of broke up in the beginning.
You know, I said, why don't we stop at least with this, and then if there's an issue, maybe we can tweak it.
Yeah, we
You
don't, I don't know if we need to set the hours. I guess we do, whether it's part-time or not. If you find that the position is regularly going over, if you only can hire someone with some benefits attached, once again, as I explained in the earlier meeting, it's difficult sometimes that we set precedents, with 20 hours, and people that have been kept under that radar screen will say, well, gee, couldn't I work an hour more a week so I could get some benefits? So
the rules for the retirement system are 19 and a half hours, not to exceed 19 and a half hours, but it's on an average yearly basis. So if some weeks they go over if they go over 4 hours one week, for example, and they're under like so many hours the next week, it's the average of the entire year when it's reported to the retirement system. So,
do you have any other?
20 hours might trigger pensionable eligible. Then we got to explain to the employee, oh, by the way, we're taking out deductions for a pension. So,
Go ahead, Matt.
that might get a little dicey.
Go ahead, Matt.
So generally, when somebody is not benefited in their part-time without benefits, they pay into the OBRA system.
Yeah.
And if they become part-time with benefits, I do believe that then they can pay into the pension system.
Right.
Do you have any other part-time employees?
No.
No.
Oh, through the grant we have yes.
Oh, yeah, right.
Through the grant we have somebody that works up
Yeah.
to 15 hours a week and they get no benefits.
Okay. I'm trying to think of scenarios where we've got some other departments that have part-time employees that are being kept under 20 because of the benefit issue. I'm just concerned.
Highway department probably.
Yeah, it's not so much even the pension issue. It's the, accrual of sick time, accrual of vacation, which of course is certainly a benefit that most employees should have, given that they're not receiving, very many hours. And if they need to get some additional time,
How about we leave if there's an issue, Matt, can you come back to us and let us know, okay, maybe we're gonna make it 20 hours or whatever the situation is. We can, even if it's gonna go up $1 more an hour to be attractive to people. I mean, it is what it is. The whole point of doing this is to be able to hire somebody,
yeah.
And again, if we're nickel and diming 50 cents here, 20 cents there, we're not providing the service that the residents require. So my opinion is, if it means that we have to come back and tweak this, then we have to come back and tweak it.
It is almost easier to increase the rate, but keep the hours under 20, rather than have it go above 20, and be eligible for benefits. But I don't have I don't feel that this is hard and fast. I mean, if you can work that out with even with the town administrator as to whether or not that's going to cause some additional problems. I mean, I don't think it will. if you have the, if it's in the budget for you, it doesn't really cost you anything additional to give them a part-timer benefits. I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it. I just don't know what the ripple effect of that is.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's just, like Matt says, it makes it more attractive to want to work for the town.
See what you can do, Matt. Oh, you're on mute.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Oh, go ahead, Tanya. Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Now you're on mute, Tanya. Okay.
Push the right button. We're tying this now with, it's a little tricky to maneuver because, if we said, you say, for instance, well, go up to 26 an hour to recruit somebody without benefits, but Nick is only going to be getting 25, but with benefits, it's harder to explain, but
Right.
I guess.
I guess this
It would
is
be
really
helpful
budget sensitive more than it is anything else. I mean, is it really up to us, Gary? I mean, you've been on the personnel board a lot longer than I have. Is it really up to us to determine whether or not this position is part-time or not part-time? I mean, we're setting the rate, we're approving the job description. I'm not sure it's really up to us to determine whether it should be part-time or above part-time. If they have the budget for it, they have the budget for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we approve a rate, and if we can approve a range. If Matt as the department head says, okay, we can't offer $20 or $25 an hour, we need to go up a little bit more, and even if and listen, I'm on the finance committee, I'll be the last person to say this, but we don't want to lose the opportunity to hire somebody, okay, over 50 cents. To me, that does not make sense, because again, we're not providing the service that we should be providing, and if you annualize that, it's peanuts. I mean, really think about it, So I think that we leave it up to the department to say, what do they feel is practice, and then maybe confirm with Jim what is the trigger that makes them pension eligible and so on and so forth. But I think the only thing we can do here is approve the rate.
We're just gonna approve the rate. Tanya, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you just approve the rate without specifying the number of hours, we'll work that out accordingly. And then what I hear you saying is, if the rates you approve, the 25 and 25 for the full-time, don't work for hiring, we can come back and go up 25 or 50 cents maybe.
Absolutely.
Easily. So we know that, so we could potentially offer that to somebody if that's what it took to get them, and come back and just get it sort of rubber stamped from you,
Yes.
if you will.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
And I assure
All
you,
right.
I assure you, you won't wait 2 months for the answer. I promise you. I promise you.
Thank you.
And sometimes that's what it takes now, is get the candidate, and then we work out it's kind of backwards from what it was, but it's just the way the market is.
Right.
Just...
Matt, you had something?
Tanya beat me by 1 second with her hand, and she said everything I was going to say. I will just add that we'll work it out with the town administrator, but to me, just based on prior trying to hire somebody, we're going to need to go in with a benefited position.
Okay.
So we'll work that out with them, but
All right.
appreciate the rate approval of the rates.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need to come back, you come back.
So I believe that we voted on the 25 for the full-time animal control officer, and there was a motion that we will amend it, not including the hours, but that the rate for the part-time animal control officer will be set at $25 per hour as of right now. Is that correct? Is that good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just do a roll call on that, because I don't think we voted on that one. Gary?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
And Cindy, yes. So, and unanimous on that. So, I'm sorry it took so long for you guys to get to this point, in being able to do it. So hopefully we can find some candidates out there, and good luck, because it's a very important position to the town. I've had to call, whether it be for a nuisance animal or a dead animal. It's certainly a number. You certainly want somebody to pick up the phone at the other end. So it's very important.
I appreciate you guys keeping this on your radar, and certainly appreciate your support. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
man.
Have a great night.
You too.
Keep cool.
Thank you. Good night.
You're
Good
welcome.
night.
Okay, so one of the only other item, and Gary, you should have received, and if not, I will send it again, since I have to send one to Tanya. We do have a copy of the study now, and the reason why I apologize to the Board of Health is that we had to wait until the report was delivered, more or less, to the select board, and they received it and kind of received it officially in order for it to be made public. So then I can send it to various departments. So now that it's been made public, if you can't put your hands on it, I will send you another copy, just so you'll have a recent copy. I go through it from time to time. I mean, there are a couple of positions that stand out. One of the first ones is certainly our own town administrator. Is certainly well underpaid compared. Now, you have to look at various towns, but he doesn't have an assistant. He does all of this stuff on his own. So there are a couple of positions. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about that is included in the study, I'm going off here a little bit on
Cindy, can I ask you a question first?
Yeah.
So right now, we got the study from the firm, and now it's been presented to the select board,
Yeah.
and it hasn't gone anywhere, right? That's where it's stopped. So I didn't watch the meeting with the select board accepting it, but what was the outcome? Did they say they were going to follow up on it? Nothing?
Nothing. I mean, so I think it will really fall into the hands of the town administrator and the department heads, once they've had their hands on it, to make a case for why in their budgets. I mean, I think the finance committee next year may see some significant requests to have some of their salaries adjusted, and whether it's something that we may have to factor in. A lot of these positions, some of them may be union positions, because the study included not just non-union, but union positions. So
Did it include job descriptions?
it did not include job descriptions, because we didn't have enough money to
Okay.
to do that.
Yeah. The only comment I have to make about the process is, we spent all this money to have a document, not just to sit on a shelf, not
Right.
to just use as a one-off, okay, they come to us or they come to whatever. This needs to be a document that's adopted globally
Right.
throughout the town. And the Board of Selectmen, one way or another, need to come to the realization
On the
that,
meeting.
that realization that they have to either accept parts of it. They cannot just use this as, okay, yeah, we did a study, and let's leave it up to each department to make the determination of whether or not we should raise people's hourly rates or salaries. This needs to be an executive decision, and I hope that it's not just one meeting, like I said, and they got a document, and now it's going to go a year, and now we've got data that's old and stale. I don't know if we follow up with them, or the finance committee follows up with them, or somebody follows up with them and says, what's the status?
Well, I think we certainly can make that request. I mean, now, like I said, many of those positions are union positions that really don't come within our purview. But I mean, I certainly think that we keep the pressure on the town administrator to make sure when it's when he sends his budget memo out, that he should include a copy of that study, because it is only fair. I mean, it's it's only right that all of the department heads have the opportunity to digest the study. And,
I mean,
you
we've
know,
been waiting for this thing
take
for
a look.
years. You know, the
Right.
time, so, you know, yeah, I agree with you. I think that, you know, it's got to be it's a public document. People should, you know, chew on it and look at it. And not to say that it needs to happen, but eventually, you know, as everything else, documents get old and data gets stale. And we don't
Right.
want to have to spend X amount of dollars to have a document that we're just going to stare at, you know, sit on a shelf somewhere.
Right. Now, Carrie, it seems like, did you spend some more time with this? I mean, have you looked at this any more closely to see like what other positions maybe had stuck out? I meant to get a hard copy of it so I can, you know, can do highlighting. My printer is broken, so I wanted a hard copy because I wanted to be able to circle and highlight different
Yeah.
positions. Did you come up with any that you thought really kind of stuck out?
I only glanced at this here and there, and nothing that you haven't already mentioned.
Right. Yeah. The animal
Yeah.
control officer was certainly one that did stick out.
I'm sure.
But
I'm
I
sure they're
am
all-
going
I'm
to
sure
go
they're all-
through it.
I mean, I'm sure they're all going to be glaring. I mean, let's face it. You know, the last time this was done was how long ago? And it probably wasn't as thorough as informed it. But I think what we don't do is pick and choose departments or positions. We let the process fall through and make it aware, make people aware that, listen, this is a issue amongst every department in town, that it's, you know, people are underpaid. There's just no other way to put it. You know?
Yes, I mean some department heads, particularly the department heads, seem to be by and large fairly well compensated. Not surprisingly, the police department seemed to be, you know, in the above average range. I'm not surprised because they just went to binding arbitration, so it was kind of silly that they even included that. Police and fire got a little bit weird because of the incentives, and it's hard to compare based on the survey answers that came back, whether or not they were including incentives or not including incentives, because, you know, you can take a base salary of 70,000 and get to over 100,000 pretty quickly when you start adding on, you know, degrees and clothing allowances and this, that, and the other. I mean, it all starts to add up.
Did they do the schools? No.
They did not do the schools. No, they did not. And I'm willing to bet, I mean, based on from what I've been told, that our schools are also fairly light. I mean, I think that, I think our teachers in general get paid on the lower end compared to other communities, which is not surprising. I mean, that doesn't surprise me either.
Yeah. Yeah, my point is, I just hope that it doesn't just become something that it was a box we checked off. I hope it's a document that we act on and that we can use to, you know, recruit people and make Westport as competitive as any other community.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will certainly put it on my radar screen to go through this with a much more of a fine-tooth comb. I had
Me too.
a wedding in the family, so I've been kind of busy. My free time has been chewed up in the last 2 months. So
Can you send it to me again? I don't know if I don't find it. I can't find it.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll be
Why don't
happy
you
to
give it
send.
to us?
I will be happy to send it to you, and you can take a look at it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe there's some kind of working group that gets formed, or something that, you know, somebody that can, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, because I agree with you. I mean, it's a shame to spend, you know, $35,000 on this and then just put it on the shelf. Because then what did it accomplish? It accomplished nothing. If 80% of our positions are in line, then fine, then say so. But if there are ones that stick out, then we need to make sure that that we deal with those and address those issues. So we will have it first and foremost on the agenda the next time we meet. We don't have a particular date, but the next time we meet, I will plan to have my copy with the yellow highlights, because I really do not have one, a hard copy of it now. So,
Now, you said, we said we had one opening, right, Cindy? Now, are we reaching out to, who do we reach out to try to fill that position? Is it the down city, the Board of Selectmen?
yeah, they can, say in their meetings that slot is open. They'll put it on the website that we have an opening in the personnel board, and we'll see if we get any interested parties. Because Nancy, like I said, does have a new position. I can't remember exactly the position, but it's a fairly high-level human resources position for Children's Hospital in Boston, or Brigham, something like that. So she's going to Boston like 3 times a week now, which certainly doesn't leave much room for our little meeting. So I thought that she was going to be able to make it tonight, but anyway, so we'll see how much longer Nancy will be able to continue to keep up with the meeting as well. But that's about all I have.
Did we have minutes? We had minutes.
Jess, did you send out minutes? Did we have minutes that we were going to share? I did not look at the agenda. I'm sorry. Did you have minutes that we were supposed to approve?
April 3rd.
April 3rd. That's right. You know what? And I'm glad you reminded me, Carrie, because I even went back and looked at those minutes. So, Carrie, can you give me a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll give you a motion to approve the minutes from, what was the date? I'm
I
sorry.
might have to abstain.
April 3rd.
For April 3rd, 2024.
Oh, so Gary, you said you're going to abstain because you were at the meeting?
I believe so.
That's
I don't
fine.
think I was at the meeting.
That's fine. So we can just wait on the minutes. Then.
Okay.
We don't have a.
Well, you've got a majority, don't you?
No,
no, wait a minute. No,
it'd only be Carrie and I voting on it. So
yeah.
That's fine. They can wait. All right. So the other thing also, I'm going to have Jess spend a little bit of time, perhaps over the summer, and she can put in some hours as well in looking at our webpage on the website. Although it just occurred to me, the town is upgrading their website. So they've gotten a grant to get a whole redesign. And so maybe we'll wait for that. But Jess, if you could also keep it on your, okay, so she's not there anymore. So I'll make sure that Jess keeps track of that, because our minutes don't always seem to, we don't have all of our positions on there. Anyway, we're gonna jazz up our section of the website a little bit better with our bylaws and making sure we have the correct bylaws on there. I think one time I looked at it and they were from 2016 or something. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time. Oh yeah, so she just texted me she lost her connection at home, so that's not surprising. So I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn unless anyone had anything else they wanted to discuss. Carrie, how was the planning board meeting got called because it was over capacity?
It did. Yeah, I've got some video of it. People were everywhere.
Wow.
We were trying to set up another TV in another section, but
Wow, that's a big meeting for them.
it was, yeah.
I'll tell you, I know this meeting's being recorded, but I would say this publicly anyway. If there's any board that I would not want to be a part of, it's the planning board, because they never seem to get it. No one ever seems to be happy with it. There's always somebody not happy with whatever decision they make. So it's
Right.
That's a tough job. So you had a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, second. Carrie, I'll let roll call vote.
Yes. Carrie Cunha.
Yes.
Cindy Brown, yes. And that is a wrap, folks. It is now, so for the purposes of her minutes, it is 8:08.